Good evening, friends, and welcome to another edition of Crime Time with Duty Ron and Ed Wallace. We are retired New York City police detectives and 9/11 World Trade Center first responders. If you like all things true crime related from the police detective's perspective, you're in the right spot. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, so you get all things Duty Ron and Ed Wallace when he's available, when we go live or upload another video. Tonight, we're going to talk about Jennifer Soto. Shocking initial police interview and breaking news as of today, reported by Shannon Butler of a local affiliate, that the local police have stated through her sources that Jennifer Soto will not be charged with a crime. That has sent shockwaves through the true crime community, and rightfully so. But I'm here to tell you that as a retired police detective and have worked many cases and built many cases, I've built many cases over my time in 20 years. And I have two great guests that are going to come on and talk about this. Sometimes you go with your case file and you go with your evidence to the district attorney and they tell you, you don't have enough, we need more. This doesn't mean that it's a done deal, that Jennifer Soto will never be charged with anything as it pertains to her daughter, Madeline Soto. We know that she was sexually assaulted for arguably 7 years, documented on Stephen Stern's cellular devices and his external drives and devices. And we know from Jennifer Soto's own admission that she sanctioned this stuff. And we're all shocked and outraged by that. We are just mad as hell, and we're not going to take it anymore. So this is not the end all for Jennifer Soto. She does not get a free pass, ladies and gentlemen. What we see on the surface is not anywhere near what they have behind the scenes, because she's not only been interviewed once, she's been interviewed twice, and she may have been interviewed a third and a fourth time. We do not know because we don't have access to the case file. But let's take a listen to this little piece, and then I'll have my two great guests. I'm going to first start off with retired NYPD first grade detective Timmy Acosta. He worked in the NYPD in the major case unit. He worked the major cases, and he's also a polygraph and body language expert. He is a polygraph expert. He's watched Jennifer Soto and Stephen Stern's interviews. He's up to date on this case. And as a matter of fact, the reason we have Ed Wallace is because of Tim. And I know he hates when I do that, but that's a fact. That's the fact, Jack. So thanks to Timmy Acosta, who's going to be joining us live here to talk about Jennifer Soto. The reason we have Ed Wallace is because of Timmy. Here's the story.
We've been following this major case of little Madeline Soto now since the beginning, since she was reported missing in Orange County in late February. Good afternoon. I'm Darlene Jones.
And I'm Greg Ormond. This is a look at the 13-year-old girl's picture, and investigators ultimately found her dead in St. Cloud. This was back in early March. Police arrested this man, Stephen Stearns, for her murder. Prosecutors are seeking the death penalty. Stearns is the boyfriend of Maddie's mother. We interviewed them both before law enforcement found the teen's body. Channel 9, Shannon Butler joins us live in studio for this breaking update. And Shannon, sources have told you the mother of Madeline Soto has not broken the law.
That's right. And the interview with Soto takes place on February 27th, about 11:30 p.m., just after her daughter was reported missing. She has a hard time answering some of those questions, but sources tell me nothing so far she has done has been criminal. So at least for now, no charges will be filed. Jennifer Soto appears calm as she tells the Orange County detective.
I just want to make it clear that you heard that news reporter. As of now, no charges will be filed. These are some of the things that you really might miss when you listen to this because you're so outraged. You might miss these subtle little things that this news reporter said. Basically, she said right there that Jennifer Soto, as of right now, as of this day and second, this day and age right here we're in, she's not being charged. That doesn't mean that in 5 days from now, or in 3 days from now, or a month from now, or it doesn't matter when, she's not off the hook. These are the detectives that responded, and this may very well be the Detective Tagler that we hear from the Sex Crimes Unit. This may be Tagler, and it may also be Detective Acosta there. I don't know And we know that we see a female there, so we're just going to assume at this point.
Detective the events surrounding her daughter's disappearance. She said at 11 p.m. that Sunday, just after her daughter's 13th birthday, she sent Madeline Soto and Stephen Stearns to bed together.
Is it normal for both of them to sleep in the same room? Sometimes when I really need a good night's sleep, I will send them upstairs. But when also a lot of times we will sleep together in the king size bed, all three of us, or sometimes Stefan will go upstairs and our bed alone. So it just really depends on what's going on that night with our schedules. And
so the little pause there was Stefan and Maddie goes to the bed alone. They just redacted her name because she's a minor, and that's what the news has to do. Here on YouTube with, our channels, we don't have to redact that, but the news is required to do that.
What we're doing.
She said they have two roommates and another child that sleeps there sometimes, and that Maddie's bedroom is downstairs in the living room. She told investigators she thought that her daughter.
That's a partition. That was a makeshift partition, something that you'd see in a massage parlor, something that you'd see in, and Timmy and I will talk about this. We worked some of these public moral spots where they use these little accordion partitions and that's what Madeline Soto's bedroom consisted of, amongst strangers living in the house. She called them roommates. That's bullshit. Those are not fucking roommates. Those are people who she's collecting money from and putting her daughter in a makeshift bed out in a public area off of the living room, and there was the kitchen off there where we saw that infamous interview. This was Madeline Soto's life. This is what she did to her daughter. In my opinion, Jennifer Soto did not care one bit for her daughter, did not love Maddie, and did not have a care for her. And that is where it makes it equally as evil and sickening.
Daughter was getting ready for school the next morning, but she never actually saw her. She said she got up and went to a doctor's appointment and then got back to the house about 11 a.m.
When you got back, was Stefan here? I'm pretty sure he was, yeah. What was he doing? Just sitting in my room at my computer desk on his phone. Okay. What did you guys do? We chatted for a little bit. I asked him what had happened because he had called me earlier at 10. Pretty sure he called me around 10:18.
But according to investigators, that wasn't true because Stearns had already been seen driving out of the complex on video with a little girl slumped over in the front seat. Jen said it wasn't until after Madeline Soto did not come out of the school and was told she wasn't actually there all day that she started to worry.
That's when I knew something was truly wrong. And I'm not before that email or after that email, but I started panicking and freaking out because she should have been to school. She should have made it.
Jen's answers were hard to come by sometimes, and she told investigators she had taken medicine and was a little spacey, but nothing in this interview or any of the other evidence we received has given detectives a reason to charge her. So something else Jen Soto told the investigators, she said that Stephen Stearns did not go with her to pick up Madeline Soto at school because he said he had a flat tire. Now that's true. Well, at least the flat tire part, he changed that tire near the same location where Madeline's body was found. Now, Greg, something important here, that it doesn't mean she'll never be charged. If investigators find something else that would warrant charges, they would do that. But at least right now, this is where we stand.
So again, I picked this out. This is some of the most important part of this reporter's interview, and this is what makes it legit, is that she said it doesn't mean that at some point she won't be charged. So folks, everyone that's on the cliff and that's fallen off the cliff and is so upset over this, this is just part of the news. This is what the news does. Listen, without further ado, I have two great guests. I'm going to just introduce one first, and thank you to Jay from Guilty of Crime and her community watching. She's multi-streaming this onto her channel. Welcome to Crime Time with Duty Ron. I know most of you guys, we share subscribers, but some of you might be new, and welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching, and we greatly appreciate you. My guest here, Timmy Acosta, retired NYPD first grade detective. Tim, thank you for taking out the time with literally 5 minutes of notice. So thank you for being here. Retired NYPD major case first grade detective, polygraph expert. Can you just tell the audience a little bit about your career? How long did you do on the NYPD and some of the stats?
Sure. Hey, thanks for having me, Ron. Appreciate it. Watch the show all the time. Love watching it. Love what you're bringing out there to the public. So I'm a retired New York City first grade detective. I did 20 years with the NYPD in various units. Retired a long time ago. I've been retired just over 18 years. And in the past 18 years, I've been a private investigator. I've been a certified forensic law enforcement polygraph examiner. I specialize in post-convicted sex offender testing, which means I conduct polygraph examinations on convicted sex offenders to make sure that they're not redoing some of the crimes, and making sure that they're following the rules and they're abiding by the rules of probation and their treatment. Presently, I conduct anywhere from 10 to 15 exams a month just on sex offenders. So I'm very familiar with sex offenders and the charges that are brought against them.
It's fair to say that you're in your career and your time, you have a keen eye for detecting deception, detecting when someone's not telling the truth. And that's one of the primary reasons why 15 minutes ago I reached out to you, because when we look at Jennifer Soto's, when Madeline Soto's mom, Jennifer Soto here, she reeks deception. I mean, all of the interviews that we've seen, it's two of them with the news outlets, and all of her statements, they're all not correct. She makes mistakes, and she continually fumbles over what she's telling the investigators. And there was no urgency. You know, we've interviewed arguably thousands of complainants, and when we have missing person cases, most of the time you can barely get the parents to calm down, to tell you what we need to know, what we need to learn. Both Stephen Stearns and Jennifer Soto did not have any urgency in finding Maddie. They just didn't seem to give two flying shits. Yeah. Your thoughts on that, Tim?
So, I watched several of the interviews, and, I have to tell you, they looked very, very rehearsed to me. She was very, very calm. I've dealt with parents that are missing children. They are not calm. Okay. She was very, very calm, which is very unusual. One of the things is, when she mentioned the time, who comes up with a time 10:18? I mean, you say around 10 o'clock, around 10:30. She came up with a very specific time, 10:18. To me, it just appears that could have been very well rehearsed, and they had come to an agreement exactly of what they were going to say, so that they're both on the same page as much as possible. I think she kind of fell apart a little bit, and that's why the story kept changing. And, detectives being detectives, they probably kept pushing her and kept twisting it a little bit, and she was forgetting what she was saying. And it's just normal, good interrogation or interview practice for an investigator to get those different stories and get them to kind of twist it a little bit. Because you know what, Ron? What's one thing that is always true? The truth is always the same. Okay, it's the lie that's always going to change, because people who are lying forget what they said. They're making it up as they go along, or they've rehearsed what they want to put out there that has happened. So it's not the truth. They're changing it as they go, because the truth is always going to be the same.
Yeah.
And the story would always be the same if she was telling the truth.
Amen to that, brother. And here is my notes, just one page of inconsistencies as it pertains to interview number 1 that we heard on Grizzly True Crime. And shout out to the Grizzlies and Gazella, doing a great job of bringing these interviews. She's got 1 and 2, interview number 1 and interview number 2. I just want to give her channel a shout out here, because she's provided the true crime community and all of us who are invested in this with the data. And she uploaded it. She's going to be on Court TV with Vinny. So kudos to the Grizzlies and that community over there. I've always been a fan of her work, and I remember when she first started out, and I used to see her riding her bicycle on Instagram going live, and now she's 330,000 or 320 something thousand strong. So kudos to that Grizzly community over there. They're doing fantastic work. Tim, I wanted to talk to you before we bring Jay in from Guilty of a Crime, and she's got a great channel too. I want everyone to go over and subscribe to her. Your thoughts on the news report that I just played, where the reporter said their sources. Okay, so we know that police sometimes do talk to the news, and we have these leaks, and that's why sometimes when we had search warrants, we never tell patrol about it. We would never tell anybody. They call us the secret squirrel squad, kept everything secret. And we did that so nothing would leak out, right? So these news reporters have their sources, but when they talk about stuff like this, it gets everybody in a tizzy because they think, oh,
Right.
This woman just said and told the world that she said, go take my daughter and sleep with my daughter. I'm having a bad night. I want to get a good night's sleep. Go take my daughter. And now we know, in addition to this, for a good 6 to 7 years, Stephen Stearns has documented on his cellular devices, on external drives and all kinds of drives and all kinds of tower computers, him having sexual relations with this young single-digit year girl, 7 years young, Madeline Soto, arguably hundreds of videos and pictures depicting him in all different disgusting sexual positions, with descripting of his penis and all of the markings on it, and it's so descriptive and so vile that you hear her mother say this, and it just makes your blood boil. How in God's name could they not charge this woman? And I want to get your thoughts on what could be some of the charges if they had enough evidence to come forward and charge her with.
Well, I mean, clearly, every state's going to have its own statutes. I looked up some of what Florida has, child neglect, child abuse, child neglect with great bodily harm. The child abuse with great bodily harm in the first degree, you're looking at 30 years. I mean, this young girl is deceased, so obviously would more than likely fit that, right? I got to tell you, Ron, I find it very, very, very hard to believe that they're not going to charge her with something. I don't believe that for 1 second. I think that's total misinformation. One of the things I caught right at the very end of the news clip, there was, if you listen to what the reporter said, it was something along the lines of, there's nothing that Jen said, that the mother said so far to the police that would lead them to charge her. That doesn't mean I think it's just, almost like a tease to get people to watch it, because listen, if you could play that end part again, just like the last couple of seconds, Ron, if you can.
I definitely will. I'll go to that. Yeah. I just wanted to, as we're here, because I'm gonna have to click off of this. Here's 4 of the charges that potentially could be charged to, because people always ask, Duty Ron, what could Jennifer Soto be charged with? Child abuse, which is a 3rd-degree felony, and I'll highlight it, a crime that could give her 5 years in imprisonment and a $5,000 fine. Child neglect without aggravating factors, and here there are aggravating factors, because her daughter was not only sexually assaulted and abused, she was murdered.
Yeah.
So there are aggravating factors. That's another 3rd-degree felony. Child neglect where great bodily harm is inflicted. That applies to Madeline Soto, ladies and gentlemen. That's a 2nd-degree felony, punishable by 15 years in prison. And if this child neglect with great bodily harm has multiple charges to it, as we heard with Stephen Stearns, I have all his charges written down here, 60 and 8, and all these different charges that Stephen Stearns is charged with. She helped to facilitate that. Child abuse with great bodily harm, a 1st-degree felony in the state of Florida, punishable by 30 years in prison. This is what we're looking at, and this is what the potentiality could be for Jennifer Soto. But they need to have concrete evidence. You can't just go based on a hunch. Tim, you want to talk about that while I queue up what you want me to play?
Sure. So, I mean, absolutely, they need hard evidence. One of the things that prosecutors to do is they want a rock solid case. So they're not going to charge somebody until they have all of their ducks lined up in a row, and that they know that they can bring a case that they will more than likely guarantee that they win. Of course, there's never a guarantee they're going to win it, but they want a case that's so rock solid that they're going to get that win, and they're going to wait until they get everything that they need. They can wait till the very end. There's no statute of limitations with murder. They can wait as long as they need just to get everything, together so that they can bring these charges. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We don't know what other evidence that they have that they're not telling the public, that they're not telling the news media. They could be working out a deal with this child's mother in order to make that rock solid case against, Stefan.
Do we even want to call her a mother, Timmy?
Well, it's terrible. But again, she is that child's mother, and she's responsible for that child. And if they're proving that this guy's been molesting this child since she was 7 years old, she is culpable. She is responsible for that child. She neglected that child, and she should be charged. I don't believe that they're not going to charge her. I just don't believe that would happen.
I don't
believe it.
I'm with you, brother, 100%. And we got to bring Jay in now. I'm going to play this. You wanted it towards the end of the clip, right?
Right at the end, yeah.
And so many parts of that interview.
Important here, tire part. He changed that tire near the same location where Madeline's body was found. Now, Greg, something important here, that it doesn't mean she'll never be charged. If investigators find something else that would warrant charges, they would do that. But at least right now, this is where we stand.
That's what you wanted, right? Was that it, or do you want to?
Yeah, there was something. There was nothing she has said at this point. This reporter says there's nothing she said at this point in these interviews or something along those lines where she can be charged.
Let's listen.
Should have been to school. She should have made it.
Jen's answers were hard to come by sometimes, and she told investigators she had taken medicine and was a little spacey. But nothing in this interview or any of the other evidence we received has given detectives a reason to charge her.
Right. That part right
Something
there.
else, Jen.
So that's it right there. Listen, again, folks, as Tim said, and I highlighted, the news is there to report and to make things sound good for advertising, but for the audience, so they get their clicks and views. It's about sensationalism. I'm not saying that she's a great reporter. She's been reporting on this case. Fantastic. I'm not dogging them, but I'm just saying with this report, this sent everybody who's invested in this, and this is a worldwide case. This is covered worldwide. We have people from all over the globe watching this for justice for Madeline Soto. They just sent everybody, just some people are just like, I can't watch this. I am so depressed. So that's what I don't like about it.
You know what, Ron? I got to tell you, because everybody is so pissed off, what is it causing, right? I bet you the phones are blowing up in this police department that you better charge her. What are you waiting for? So it's almost like they're kind of like pushing him to the edge where bring charges, okay, and do it now. They may not be ready to bring the charges, but as soon as they are, they will. I guarantee you they will.
Brother, you took the words right out of my mouth, because that was the next thing I was going to say. The switchboard over at the Kissimmee Police Department and Chief Betty Holland is probably getting a ton of calls from people all over the globe. Like, what in God's name are you talking about? You're not going to charge this one? So you and I are so in tune. But without further ado, Jay from Guilty of Crime, she's been covering this case from day one. She's interviewed roommates. She has the 411 as it pertains to this. She puts in her chat all day, every day, #arrest Jennifer Soto. I want to just add her in, and I'm honored that she's here with us. And thank you for joining, Jay. How are you?
Thank you, Ron. Doing well. I'm really happy to hear this. I just reported on this about the breaking news, and to hear Tim's perspective and yours about the news and the specificities of nothing has come to these interviews to our attention right now is the key in this. As everything we're seeing the information that she neglected her child heavily, and there's lots of abuse going on, and she said the same story over and over with Stefan Stearns, who is going to be convicted hopefully one day of murder and sexual assault. So that made my day. Thank you.
Yeah. It's funny that you said that, Jay, because their stories kind of mimic each other. And Tim said it good, like these are rehearsed stories. They either make
Cryptic.
it up as they go along, or they have time to sit and get their ducks in order. And what happened is those two got together, and you even heard the same thing, because I listened to thank you to Plunder. I got all of the audio recordings and interviews with not only Jennifer Soto, Stephen Stearns, but I got their parents too. I have the audio from inside the garage where the father tells the detectives, "Get this out of my house." And his father, Chris, talks so badly about his own son, and talks about his son having brain damage, being run over by a car at a young age, and him and his friend were hit by. So there's so much that I've been able to listen to as it pertains to these stories. But Stephen Stearns, and the reason I brought up the parents, he told the same bullshit to them, and then they regurgitated it to the police. But when the father regurgitated it to the police, he said a couple of things. "I think my son's full of shit. I don't think my son's telling the truth. I couldn't get him to work. I had to kick him out of bed to go to work. The father was giving him work, and he wasn't even getting up to go to work." So there's some interesting interviews that'll be coming down the pipeline, and I'm sure Grizzly and Plunder and all of the true crime, yourself, Jay, will be hearing that. There's a lot more to hear, but that all to me is hogwash, because what's most important is this woman right here, Jennifer Soto, and her bullshit and the stories that she tells. And I am not, there's a poll. We have a poll up. Do you feel that Jennifer Soto will be arrested? Yes or no? And then the third choice is, are the police building their case? And that's where I stand. And that's where I say, yes, the police probably went to the district attorney's office and said, "This is what we got against Jennifer Soto. This is what we want to charge." And the DA probably said to him, "We need more." Timmy, I know you could talk about this all day and every day. How frustrating it was for you in major case when you had these cases and the DA said, "We need just a little bit more to get those top charges. You got to go out and kick it, knock on some doors, gumshoe detective work."
Very, very routine. They want more. The more they have, the more, secure that case is. So, they're gonna do everything they can. I still think that at some point they may be using her to charge him. I don't know. I don't know what kind of psychological test they've done on her to see if she's even capable of being charged. I mean, there's so many factors that come into play, Ron. We really don't know. But
I know you haven't delved into this case the way I have and the way Jay has and others. It's not even fair for you, because I just put this on you 20 minutes ago. But as far as Jennifer Soto, and Vinnie Politan touched on this tonight on his private Vinnie Politan channel, not on the Court TV branded channel. He said that he feels like they are, what you said, trying to work out a deal to get her to testify. They have a mountain of evidence against Stephen Stearns. They don't need her to testify, in my opinion. What they need is to go after her and find her culpable and find her responsible for this child neglect, for failure to safeguard. You have a responsibility as a parent to make sure your child is safe within her home, and she failed to do that because she took a predator and gave him the green light to take her daughter by the hand and walk her to bedroom number 4 and sleep with her. Who does that? And I asked the chat, thank you to the chat. How many of you guys are on board with what I'm saying here? Who does that as a good parent? None of us can say, and I don't even care if you're not a parent, none of us would feel right about saying that or doing that. And this is not even her father, Timmy, Jay. This is a complete outsider. And I don't know if Madeline Soto was attached to Stephen Stearns. We don't know. We can speculate. We can get a feeling that she was, but I have a feeling that at 13 she said, "I'm mad as hell and I'm not taking it anymore, and I'm going to expose this scumbag." And she probably told him that, and this is my opinion. I don't know what you guys think about this. She probably told him, "Your gig is up. I'm done with you raping me and taking advantage of me and ruining my life. I'm telling the police on you." And he said, "No, you're not. I'm going to kill you."
Yeah. I still think they're going to charge her. There's no way that they're not going to charge her.
Yeah.
I agree with that, but it definitely backs up my my thought of that with hearing you two say that. I mean, I've been doing this. I've got 82 or 83 episodes of this, and every time I say hashtag arrest Jen Soto for what we can see her doing. So yeah, I don't know about child trafficking in the chat here, but we see the neglect, we see the obstruction of justice. You know, there's 4 charges there that are felonies.
Yeah.
So
I want to say that the child sex trafficking is not outrageous to think that because of the way they set that house up. And who knows over 7 years how many people have come and gone from that home. How many folks who she leased or rented to month came and went and had teenage or adult children, teenage children that were jumping on the bandwagon. And maybe this scumbag, Stephen Stearns, was saying, hey, pay me this, you could do this with her. I hope and pray that
number 4.
Right. I hope and pray that that's not the case. But the way this whole apartment was set up, this dwelling was set up, and the way Jennifer Soto showed no care or empathy for her flesh and blood. I mean, it's shocking to even talk about this, but I don't see this out of the realm of possibilities. God only knows what this poor girl went through. My heart breaks for Madeline Soto, and I know yours does too, Timmy, and yours does too, Jay, and everybody in the chat. So I want to just say thank you to the super chatters, and I got to highlight them real quick before it gets out of hand. Jeff, thank you for the super sticker, and happy belated birthday. Best show on TV every day, the best guests too. Jeff, we appreciate you over there in Wyoming. Thank you. Susan King, $20. She's guilty as sin and gonna walk. I don't think so, Susan, but I respect your opinion. However, her life will be forever tainted. You know what? I don't think Jennifer Soto is going to be able to go out in public anywhere in the United States, for that matter, outside the United States. She's well known, and she's got a face that you can't forget. Jeff's throwing his wallet again at us with $1.99. He says, this case fires me up, Duty Ron. You know why. Abusers. Yeah. Jeff himself was a victim of abuse at a young age, and he came out and talked about it on some of our members only live. And thank you for being brave to come out there and talk about it, Jeff. We love you. We respect you. Emily Parkinson, member for 5 months. She says, love this gang. Yeah, we're a gang. We are a gang. Thank you for that. Nancy, member for 5 months. Love Duty Ron. Thank you so much. Well, we love you right back. Thank you. If you're not yet subscribed, consider subscribing. Hit the thumbs up. Subscribe to Jay over at Guilty of Crime. If you're part of this community and you don't know about hers, get around her, see what she's got to offer. This has been in the making for months. We talked about this a long time ago, Jay. I want to go to you, Jay, and give you the stand here. Some of your questions, some of your thoughts. You can fire them away at me, myself, and Timmy, or maybe just highlight some of your questions from your community. I give you the floor, Jay.
Well, I think one of my number one questions will be, first for you, Duty Ron, in your experience, decades of experience in being a officer, have you seen anything like this besides Casey Anthony? Have you seen anything like this where something like this big has happened and someone hasn't been charged?
I got to say, so I worked in East New York and Brownsville, some of the toughest housing projects in Brooklyn. I saw a lot of child neglect and child abuse. I've seen a lot of cases where some people have skated due to lack of evidence. So the answer to that is yes, but also the secondary answer to that is more times than not, I would see the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office prosecute these cases to the fullest extent of the law. We're talking about a different day and age, though, Jay. This was in the 90s where people were tough on crime. We had Mayor Rudy Giuliani in charge of New York City in the 90s. I was a cop in 1991. I became a detective shortly thereafter. And I spent a great decade of my career as a detective in the fugitive apprehension team and fugitive enforcement. But while I was on patrol, I saw a lot of sexual assault cases, a lot of rape cases that would get prosecuted and then due to lack of evidence or at trial gets pled down to lesser charges. So yes, I've seen this happen, but not on a grand scale like this, because back in the 90s, there was not the internet the way it is now. There was no YouTube lives. There was no Facebook. There was no Instagram. There was no Twitter. So now that this is amplified and everybody hears about it, it's more out there. Whereas back in the 90s when Tim and I were cops, and Tim was probably a cop in the 80s as well, there was none of this. There was no reports. There was no news reporters with microphones. Maybe on the scenes of some of our murder cases, you would have a news reporter out there. I remember Rosanna Scotto coming down in Brownsville in East New York when she was a young whippersnapper. Now she's, a lead up in the morning on Fox 5. But, we've had, you had the news reporters out there, but it was not transmitted onto all the socials. They didn't exist. So now, because we have these socials, it's amplified. Tim?
Yes, I think a lot of the laws have changed as well since the 1990s, 1980s. A lot of the laws have been tweaked a little bit in order to charge people properly. I have seen cases where somebody wasn't charged or they were charged, and then when it went to court, it was what they call deferred prosecution, which just means that they're almost temporarily dropping the charges, waiting for more evidence so that they can bring the charges again.
Right.
This way, it doesn't go to trial and they lose, and then they can't retry them.
Right.
So I have seen that.
Yeah, and the digital evidence was not as strong as what it is today.
Right.
We didn't have those smartphones. We had those silly little flip phones. We had the Nextel Direct Connects. So it was a lot different day and age. This is, again, what we got going on right now is an amplification of these cases. So we're hearing more about them. We're hearing the details. There was no FOIA requests back then. There was no people rebroadcasting and transmitting audio interviews. We did interviews in the box. Timmy, remember the
newspapers?
Oh yeah, many
box?
times.
We put somebody in the box. No. There was no windows in there. It was a room with nothing, and just a table, a bottle of water. The district attorney, the writing DA would come down with a camera, or even back then, maybe not even a camera. We would just have audio. It would be a cassette tape recorder, audio, and they would record the interview and interrogation with no video. Sometimes we would have video towards the later part of the 90s, but it was like a really shitty video. It would look like an ISIS video, grainy and nasty. But yeah, so that's what we're dealing with. But Jennifer Soto, I see a lot of people on your end, Jay, over at your community. Arrest Jennifer.
Arrest Jen Soto.
So Ron, check this out, right? Let's go back old school. So when you had somebody, right, that was with somebody else who committed a crime, what did you charge them? You charged them with acting in concert.
Yes.
So I can't tell you how many times I've used that charge. They're just as culpable. They're just as guilty. They were acting in concert. Yeah. I see that in this case.
Hey, I want to listen to a little bit of the interview from last night. I mean, the second one was shocking, but let's listen to last night's. I'm not going to listen to it all because it's 35 minutes. This is from Plunder, courtesy of of Grizzly True Crime. She credits her. I'm crediting her here in the description. Yep. So kudos to the Grizzlies and the community there for getting this data. But let's listen to it together just a little bit. What I like about what Plunder did with this is that she put captions, because there's some things that the Jennifer Soto says and the detectives say that you can't really hear. So if you look at the captions and they're really big, you can hear what they're saying. And thank you to Paula for allowing me to play this here tonight. I'm not going to play it all, but I'll link it in the description.
Does it lock?
No, it should be fine.
Okay. Over here,
Are we
please.
going to be able to go back home soon?
I'll explain it in a second. Okay? I have a question too before we get started. Somebody said something like somebody in here has a gun. Is that a true statement or a false statement?
That's a true statement.
Okay, where is this gun at right now?
It is upstairs in the guest bedroom.
It's not like in any of these cars out here.
And the guest bedroom is bedroom number 4. And she says it right here. It has the number 4 on it. That's what we talked about earlier. So Jennifer Soto has the rooms sectioned off, and the guest bedroom, She didn't even allow her daughter to call that her room for privacy. Her daughter was relegated to that small little accordion door area off of the dining or kitchen area or whatever. I saw a picture of it, a crime scene picture from inside the home. It's just off of the kitchen slash dinette area. And it's so sad when you see that and you see these inside pictures. And this to the mom, this is okay. And she is being questioned by a sex crimes detective. And she didn't even say to her, wait a fucking minute here. Why my daughter's missing? Why is the sex crimes? Why are you here? Did anybody catch that she didn't even say peep about that?
That was one of the first things I caught. I named my video that sex crimes have this case now or something like that. And she said nothing.
She was blasé. Tim.
Brutal crimes unit. Yeah.
This reeks deception. This reeks involvement. This reeks her acting in concert and back in. And what I noticed about this is body cam footage. This has nothing to do with this interview, but this was inside her mother's place of business. She couldn't even tell the detectives the name of the mother's business or the address right away. And she blamed it on the drugs. She said, I took
panicking.
Yeah, I took some drugs. I'm loopy. Like, I mean, let me get an oh hell no. Hold on a second.
Oh hell no.
This to seasoned detectives reeks deception so badly. And Timmy, I got to have you on to go over her interviews. You know, I know this is old stuff, but where she's on video, I want you to just go over that with me and look at it from a polygraph body language expert's take, because that's what you are. And I think we'd have some fun with that in the coming days. And we'll look it over and we'll break it down.
No, I don't believe so. I think it's upstairs in the guest bedroom. Bedroom number 4. It's got a number 4 on it.
Okay, how certain are we of that?
So she's talking about a gun, Tim. So now there's an unsecured gun, perhaps, in bedroom number 4. That's the very bedroom that she told investigators, that she told Stephen Stearns, the alleged murderer of her daughter, to take her and go up and sleep with her the night she disappeared and was murdered.
You know, Ryan, so one of the things I got to say is some of the best interviewers are these sex crime detectives. They come at you and they've got to look at every situation. And one of the hardest things that they've got to try and do is figure out, is this true? Is it made up? You know, there are so many people who make false allegations, for whatever reason. Yeah. And they've got to look at it so that they make sure that they get the correct story. And, it could be something where they're lying either way, that it happened or it didn't happen. And these sex crime detectives, they know how to go at somebody. They really know how to go at someone.
Yep. And they also said that there was, she tells her later on in this interview that I think a major case detective or someone, I don't remember the exact word she used, but we'll hear it at the end of this. But she said, when I leave, someone from my office or a major case detective is going to come, or a major crimes detective.
They were tag teaming.
So, but she didn't even bite. She didn't even bite at that. She was just like, oh, okay. She was more upset that they weren't able to stay in their home overnight because crime scene was going to happen.
Brutal crimes. Yeah, it was like brutal crimes and then sex crime unit. And she was like, oh, can I get my medication? That's what she was worried about.
Yeah.
That, and she repeated their question when they asked about her sleeping in the room. She's like, did they sleep in the room together? Is that okay? She was deflecting and trying to think about what her answer should be, in my opinion. But
hey, who here loves that Plunder put the captions on? I love it because I missed a lot of the stuff. So shout out to Plunder as well, and shout out to Grizzly True Crime.
As far as I know, the gun is inside upstairs. I haven't heard of it being in the car.
Okay. Let me just move my purse.
If you want to take
She's horrified. Looking at her face, she knows they're coming after her.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
She knows. She's a target. She knows it.
Timmy, this is patrol body cam footage when she first reported her daughter. If I showed you this one, you would have a field day with this, because she's swaying back and forth as she did in her home interview. And Stephen Stearns is there with the arms closed, that protective stance. It's just this body cam footage has nothing to do with this interview that's going on right now, because they're inside the back of she's in the back of a unmarked.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this and all of her family, nobody went near Stephen Stearns, and nobody hugged her during the course of her reporting her daughter missing. That was crazy. That was just crazy. It stood out to me, major league as a seasoned detective. Jay, I'm sorry, the super chats are kind of coming in over you. Gifted membership from Emily. Thank you. Sharing Sharon. Thank you for being here. Member for over 2 years. Home and happy to be watching. Welcome home from the hospital. Sharon creates. We love you. We thank you. And I'm so happy that you're home and feeling better. Graciela Gonzalez, a member for 2 months. Love Ron, Jay, love all. Love and arrest Jennifer Soto. Absolutely. D's Creative Hands Crochet. Thank you for being here and a member for 9 months. Jennifer is going to jail. I'd bet the farm on it. Curious Kiwi, thank you for gifting the memberships. Love and respect as always. And Schmitty, always throwing her pocketbook at us. He says, as always, while viewing this show, I experienced shock, then hope. Thank you, Duty Ron and Detective Acosta. Guilty of crime. Arrest Jen Soto. Amen to that, sister. I actually met her. She came on a holiday for her 50th birthday. Sorry for giving up your age. I apologize. But for her 50th, she came into New York City. I took her to Umberto's for pizza. Me, Schmitty, Joey Brooklyn, and my neighbor. We took her out and we had some pizza. She brought us some good stuff from her part of town. It was great meeting you, Schmitty. It was a lot of fun.
I'm gonna start recording. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah. Let me make this. I know it's not the most comfortable, but at least you won't be cold over here.
I get cold super easy.
Yeah, I get half the same way, so I understand. You want to take a seat right over here? And she's gonna. Right up there.
It's in my car. There we go. Okay. We have officially taken over the case, okay? So, but his name is Luis Acosta. Okay. We both work for Orange County Sheriff's Office. So I understand you spoke with the other guy earlier with Detective Frank Hunt. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay. We have officially taken over the case, okay? So are you guys with Kissimmee? No, we're with Orange County. It's just a different unit. Oh, okay. What unit are you with? We're with sex crimes.
Not even a what? What? You with sex crimes? What? Why?
Okay. It's just because of her age and is why we take over. Does that make? I know it's kind of confusing, but like we have like different rules in Orange County, and depending on like people's age, we sometimes take over investigation when it comes to missing persons. Okay. Does that make sense? Yeah.
I'd have been like, no, that doesn't make any fucking sense to me.
So ask me if that was a lie.
That was a huge top lie. Like, she basically told her, I work for Orange County Sex Crimes Unit, and I'm here, and we're taking this case over. I would have been like, so my daughter was sexually assaulted? Why is a sex crimes detective? Like, anybody with common sense, let me know in the chat if I'm going off base here. Anybody in the chat, if this was your daughter, would you be like, what? How about a regular detective? Why do we need sex crimes here? She was just like, okay. Gotta listen to that again, because that is unbelievable.
But like we have like different rules in Orange County, and depending on like people's age, we sometimes take over investigation when it comes to missing persons. Okay. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Okay. No problem. I don't really want to know why you're here or what happened to my daughter? What? This is day over 24 hours, and I'm talking to a sex crimes detective in the back of a car.
So,
Question.
Get the fuck out of here.
when you talked to him earlier, I kind of got like a brief synopsis of what happened. I understand you have a new job. Yeah. Okay. And if I say anything that's incorrect, please correct me. Okay. You have a new job. And last night you asked them to go sleep upstairs because you wanted to get rest. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. What time was this? Do you remember? It doesn't have to be like exact time, but like just. And then yesterday or Sunday she had her birthday party, right? Sunday she had her birthday party. Okay, what time was that party at? It started at 3 o'clock. Okay, from 3 to what time? I'm not sure. I wasn't there. I was at work. Oh, okay, you weren't there. But I know my sister was home around 8:30. Uh-huh. Was Stefan here at that time? I'm not sure if he was here at the time, but I think he got here a little bit after. Mm-hmm. And he was like, okay, she was already doing what she was supposed to. She had taken her nighttime meds, and she was getting ready for bed, like taking.
Is everybody in that house on meds? The mother?
Yeah.
And Stearns, the daughter?
Probably everybody. Yeah.
What did the roommates tell you? Like you talked to some of the cousins or some of the people that were.
Oh, there was lots of meds. Yeah. I mean, I talked to the ex-roommate before all of these people when Juan was living there, Grandpa Juan, and he lived downstairs. Stefan Stearns and Jen Soto and Maddie were upstairs. They would all sleep in one room.
Bedroom number 4?
No, I don't know if it was bedroom. They had the whole upstairs. One had the whole downstairs, and then one of the roommates had one of the rooms. It wasn't labeled back then. Wow. There was no numbers. But they all took meds, mind you.
In a shower. She'd take showers at night. So he's like, okay, she was already on it. I didn't get home until I'm gonna say 10:30. Okay. And then at 11, I sent them to bed. Did Stefan make it to the party? No. Okay. And then.
Timmy, what mother do you know doesn't make it to their daughter's 13th birthday party? She became a teenager. Do you know of one mother that wouldn't make it and take the day off or take the night off? A Sunday night, no less. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the party supposedly kicked off. She didn't go to it. She didn't try to schedule her work around this very important event. A girl turns 13. That's a teenage. She's turning a teenager. And then
one of the things I'm thinking too, Ron, is that's where I'm seeing a lot of disconnect between her and the daughter. So it could be one of the reasons why she's not in tears or reacting. She's just so disconnected from the daughter. Maybe there's no feelings. I don't know. I don't understand how that could be possible. I love my children to death. But I'm just seeing a huge disconnect with her and her daughter.
And what's great about Timmy's take on this, Timmy, retired NYPD first grade detective, is he's never watched any of this stuff really in depth like this. So this really gives us a seasoned detective. He's a first grade detective. He actually worked, I'm going to blow you up a little bit. He worked with Ed Wallace's wife. Ed Wallace's wife, Margaret, worked with Timmy in Major Case, right? Or the bias unit, right? The bias.
Both. We were in the bias unit together back in the 90s, the late 90s, and then we were in the Major Case squad in 2000s.
All right, I've sped this up a little bit, as you guys can see. Let's listen to this a little bit more because this is going to be an interesting analogy by Tim and myself.
To get here, you said you sent her to bed at 11. And the following morning, I'm sorry, let me backtrack a little bit. You send them upstairs, right? Mm-hmm. How many bedrooms are upstairs? 3. Okay. Where?
She said 3.
In bedroom number 4. Okay. And what about Stefan? Bedroom number 4. Okay. Is it normal for both of them to sleep in the same room? Sometimes. When I really need a good night's sleep, I will send them upstairs. But when also a lot of times we will sleep together in the king size bed, all 3 of us. Or sometimes Stefan will go upstairs and our bed alone. So it just really depends on what's going on that night with our schedules and what we're doing. Okay, where were you sleeping? Downstairs in the king size bed. Okay. Is it just you two here, or you guys have a roommate, right? We have 2 roommates, and one of the roommates has a son who's here like a little bit more than half the week. So what rooms do you guys?
And is that son a teenage son, I believe, as far as I read in some of the paperwork. So the roommate that she referred to has a son who's a teenager. You have a teenage kid. You have her daughter, a teenager, Maddie. Not a good mix. And she doesn't have privacy. She's got an accordion door. Something like I said, you'd see in a massage parlor or something like that. That's part of her privacy. It's just despicable, disgusting.
The room downstairs, the master bedroom downstairs, and room number 4. Okay. So it wasn't last night. It was the night before. Stefan slept in bedroom number 4, and you slept downstairs. Yes. In the master. Okay. What time did you wake up?
You hear that big?
So Ron, I got to say something here. So one of the things I can't help it, but I'm listening to everything and what everyone's saying, what the detective is asking. I'm reading the detective as well as, Jen. I got to tell you, this detective knows what time it is. All this detective is doing at this point is just gathering information, getting a story to see if it changes and how many times it changes. I'm listening to both sides of this. This detective, she knows that this is a target. She knows exactly what time it is.
She did a great job, and she also interviewed Stefan Stearns as well. So this is classic textbook detective interrogation 101. It's not even an interrogation at this point, but she's gathering
it. Yep.
Yeah, she's gathering it to slam her. And that's what's so confusing is that this happened in February, and we're all 4 months, 5 months later saying to ourselves, what the fuck? Why? Why don't they have enough to put her in the corner and hog tie her and drag her in and charge her with these, I listed those 4 child abuse charges. Some of them first-degree felony charges that would give her up to 30 years in prison. Mind-blowing. But again, to build a case, sometimes it takes months, sometimes it takes a year or more. Timmy, you know about that. Sometimes, what we need to get the district attorney to be on board with charging documents could take a long time. It's got to be patient.
I'm going to say around 8 o'clock in the morning.
I'm sorry, Tim.
I've seen cases where they brought charges 30 years later. So
we hope that doesn't happen here.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't want to put everybody back on the ledge, Timmy.
So Ron, is this at the time that this interview is taking place, had they found the body yet?
No.
Okay.
So this is the 27th, which is Tuesday. Sunday night into Monday morning, which is 26th. He took her on that day, put her out quite a distance away. I think in St. Cloud, was it, Jay?
Yep, St. Cloud.
Right. So he put her in on somebody's farm on property, and he went back Monday night. He took Jennifer's white Nissan and her Sentra, a 2022 Sentra, and he went back in the middle of the night. And she alludes to that here, and that she knew he did that. That she said that he went searching for her, but she stayed home. She didn't even get out of bed and go with him to search for him. This is what he told her. I'm going to search for Maddie. He probably went and either moved the body or put some kind of cover on it. Like he might have said, oh shit, maybe I got to try to put some bales of hay were out there and stuff, or brush. And he did something. God only knows. He could have done a multitude of different things with the body, but he went back out to that location, and he did something in the middle of the night that next day. And she talks about that here. But the thing of it is that she didn't fucking get up and go out with him, and that's what's got me even more saying,
"Oh hell no!"
That's a big old hell no. So. Let's listen.
And came into the room and was trying to put the leash on the dog.
In the middle of the morning.
Somewhere between, I'm going to say somewhere between, he came into the room somewhere between 8 and 8:15. He came in to put the leash on the dog, and I got up to try to help him because my dog is kind of a nervous dog, and I didn't want him to pee on the bed. So we wrangled him, put him on his leash, and he said, "Go back to sleep." And I said, "Okay." So I laid back and went back to sleep.
Go back to sleep, woman. Your daughter's missing, but just go back to sleep. I got the dog. I'm going to take the dog for a nice walk. I mean, she didn't know at that time, but she, allegedly, according to her story, but go back to sleep. I got this. I came from Northport. I am the Messiah. I'm going to take care of everything. I'm going to walk the dog, and I'm going to take your daughter to school. And we're going to go for a special McDonald's.
Special breakfast.
Get the fuck out of here.
Pardon my French, but you're an asshole.
Okay, I heard
Thank you, Cameron.
people in the kitchen. I'm not sure exactly who was in the kitchen.
Sure.
As far as I know, I came downstairs to get ready in her. So she's kind of got a bedroom in the living room. If you go into the apartment, you'll see there's like one of those fake walls, separating half the bedroom. She's got like a desk with a bedroom and a TV and a dresser. But she'll hang out there during the day, but she never sleeps there. She always sleeps with me, and then the rare occasion upstairs. But most of the time it's with me.
Okay. Did you see her on Monday morning?
Visually see her? No.
Did you hear her?
I heard many people in the kitchen. I'm not sure if it was my roommate or her specifically.
Okay. Is your roommate a male or a female?
Female.
Okay.
They're both females.
When was the last time you physically saw?
Wednesday, 11 o'clock. I'm sorry. Sunday, 11 o'clock.
Sunday when you sent her to bed. Okay.
Now I think she makes she alludes to the meds here, I think.
And then when you woke up, you said you woke up briefly because Stefan went in there. Did you go back to sleep?
Yes.
What time did you get up?
Let me see if I
Timmy, was that a long and uncomfortable pause? That shit should come right to you.
It's just she's got some times where she's got it locked down. The last time she saw her 11 p.m. and she, something at 8:15. She's got some stuff rehearsed. I think she's forgetting stuff that they may have rehearsed.
Yeah. And she's scared shitless because she knows that the walls are closing in on her. And it's just amazing that we haven't heard or seen anything from her. And not even a statement, not even like through a lawyer or anybody. Hey, I want to profess to everybody that I'm innocent. I had nothing to do with this. She didn't even put a statement out through a third party person. That's what makes it so effed up, but it is what it is.
I actually have my alarm set. No, I don't have a specific day on there. Let me check something real quick. I'm pretty sure I woke up around 9 o'clock in the morning, and then I left at 9:30. I had an appointment. I had a doctor's appointment at like 10:15, but they took a while. And then by the time they did my blood work and whatever, I think I got home somewhere between 11 and 11:15.
Okay. When you got back, was Stefan here?
I'm pretty sure he was, yeah.
What was he doing?
Just sitting in my room. At my computer desk on his phone.
Okay. What did you guys do?
We chatted for a little bit. I asked him what had happened because he had called me earlier at 10. Let me see.
I think she's looking at her phone.
Pretty sure he called me around 10:18.
What did he call you for?
To let me know that he didn't go to McDonald's as planned. He had asked her multiple times if she wanted to stop at McDonald's because that was the plan the night before. That they were going to wake up early. He was going to take her to McDonald's, do like a special McDonald's breakfast, and then drop her off at school early because she wanted to get there a little early.
And that's exactly the words that he used in his interview, Timmy. He talked about that special McDonald's breakfast, and he also said he tried to talk her into it. He tried to talk her into it a few times, but she wasn't having it. Right, Jay?
Yeah, exactly. And word for word.
He said, I tried to talk her into the breakfast because I wanted it, but she wasn't having it. So I stopped that. I what did he say? I ixnayed it or something stupid.
Something, yeah.
Her story is mimicking. It's mimicking his.
Yeah.
And she had to sit and think about it. She had to think about, oh shit, what was the plan here?
Exactly.
But on his way to school, she was very sleepy and wanted to sleep in the car. And she said she did not want to do McDonald's. She just wanted to be dropped off.
Okay.
Also to let me know that he left his phone at home because I had called him multiple times and he hadn't picked up. He had left his phone at home by accident. He had went to the vape shop, but they didn't open on time, so he had waited for quite a while in front of the vape shop.
See, and he said he returned home, and he didn't say that he waited at that vape shop. From what I remember, I think he said he returned home and then went back. But this is the crazy part. What 13-year-old leaves the house without their phone? And she blamed her ADHD on this. And I think more so, someone who has ADHD would immediately notice that, like when they got in a car or pulling out of the complex and like, no, got to go back. I don't got my phone. Like no teenager leaves the house without that phone. And he left it and she left it. What?
The day after her birthday too, with her presents, her pictures, all that. She's gonna just leave without her phone.
Sounds like a plan, Ron. They don't want the cell towers hitting it.
Exactly. He was thinking ahead of the game, but he's not that smart. Also, too, I read reports that the interviews with her friends from school and her friends stated that she wasn't happy with the gifts that she got for her birthday. So that's another thing that's out there, that Madeline Soto was vocal with her friends about not being happy about the gifts that she received. And I'm sure that her mom didn't come through the right way either, because she certainly didn't give two flying shits about her official birthday party. And on her birthday, which was during the week, I'm sure that the mom didn't shower her with love either, because look at her now. Look at her now as she's being interviewed in the back of a police car by a sex crimes detective. She's so blasé about it. It's almost like Maddie is just an object. She doesn't have any love for this kid. And it's clear and evident in these interviews. And you see it on the interviews that she did with the news inside her own home. She's not freaked out. She's not outside with a bullhorn or screaming at the top of her lungs. Where's my daughter? No, nothing.
They didn't open, so he left and came back and we hung out a little bit. And then I think he left again to the vape shop to go buy what he needed.
Okay.
Do you want the name of the vape shop?
Yes. If you have it on top of your mind, I'm sure we're going to talk again soon, and we'll have more.
No, I'm just saying because that might be helpful if you want to see like surveillance.
This is that swaying that I was talking about when the uniformed cops took the initial report. She was swaying back and forth.
Or anything.
Okay, so
and the whole family is there, and none of that family came anywhere near them. They almost like were looking at them like they were evil. I don't know. That's the vibe I got. That was the read I got. Jay?
Yeah, I mean, that family didn't want Stefan at the party. Jen wasn't accepted there if Stefan was there. And yeah, they weren't with it. They weren't, the family, it wasn't about them.
No.
I bet you everybody at that party, or everybody that's here in this room, I guess this is a relative's shop.
Yeah, this is the mom. This is the mother's shop.
Yeah, I bet you everybody there knows what time it is and knows what's been going on and the abuse that's been taking place.
And that's another thing that freaks me out, is that nobody came forward with some type of suspicion or some type of report about Stefan Stearns. If he was, and we know from the data, from the videos and the pictures, that he was sexually abusing and sexually assaulting Madeline Soto for 7 years, according to his timestamps on his devices, multiple devices, zip drives, Western Digital external hard drives, a computer tower, his Google Drive, his actual phone itself, which coincidentally he said he did an update and wiped his phone clean that morning. Shocking. You left your phone home. Then when you got the phone, you did an iOS update or whatever update you did, and you wiped the phone out. And when the father was questioned about it, I listened to this tonight before we went live. When they questioned his father about that, and the father was telling the story, he goes, my son's full of shit. Basically, how do you wipe a phone not knowing? There's many steps that you have to take before you wipe it. We all know that. We're not dumb. All right, Tim, thank you for hanging out with us. I said that I would hold you 20 minutes. We're here an hour and 10.
At some point,
Put in overtime slip in.
I understand he gets like a flat tire and he's not able to go with you to pick school. Yeah, right? Yeah. And when you get to the school, how do you realize that she wasn't there? So I left her. I usually leave around 2:30 to pick her up. She gets out of school at 4. So I wait that. It takes me about 25 minutes to get to the school, and then I wait about an hour for her to get out. I waited the whole time. And then when the bell rang and then it was time for her to come out, she wasn't one of the first kids like she normally is. And I realized I was holding up the line because everyone behind me had children and they needed to get out because I was the first in line. So after about, I'm going to say.
So nobody could just drive around her. I was the first in line. She was holding up the whole line. Maybe it's just a one lane. I don't know, but sounds a little weird there too, right? And supposedly she got an email or the notifications. It's all been changed now because they did it at that school ass backwards. They made the notifications after late in the day, after your student, your daughter doesn't show up, your kid doesn't show up to school. They notify you at the end of the day. Whereas here in most of the Northeast, they notify you right at the first period when there's attendance that they do. And they notify you right away. So they since changed that there, but it took a kid to get murdered for them to do that.
So, sorry. So if you look at what she said and how she started that story, right? The question was, how did she know she wasn't there? Hey, I went to pick her up and she wasn't there. She didn't come out. She didn't answer that way. She started with a long, in my opinion, rehearsed story. That's what it sounded like to me. Hey, well, I normally do this. And it just sounds like, she could have answered it very easily. I went to pick her up. She never came out.
I freaked out. I went inside. She never even went inside the school. That's the fucked up thing too.
Yeah.
I think it was like 4:10. She didn't come out and I was holding up the line, so I drove away. I said, maybe I forgot to tell her that I was picking her up that day because I don't know if she knew that I wasn't working that day.
What about calling the person who dropped her off and saying, where the fuck's my daughter? What about that? That wasn't an option.
Not once.
Look at Schmitty. Look at what Schmitty said. Detective Acosta is on it. You got that right, Schmitty. He's a badass. That's why he's here.
But I had assumed that she thought, she knew that I was going to go get her. So because she never came out, I left and I went. She works less than, let me say it's like a 3-minute drive from the school. It's very close. She works in the Hunters Creek Villages area. I drove that way and I drove along
that long exhale
on the path that she would walk, and I didn't see her. And then office, I asked, hey, has she gotten here yet? They said no. And I said, okay, let me wait a little bit. And I parked back again on Hunter's Park Lane, I think. And I waited along that lane to see if I would see her walking.
What about going into the school and saying, where the hell is my kid? You go right into the attendance office, right into the principal's office, and you say, hey, my kid didn't come out of school. All of this doesn't make sense. And this is just, look, I have a retired lieutenant from the Loveland Police Department. And he is a statement analysis expert, but I think you are too, Timmy, right? Statement analysis?
I am. I've been trained in it.
Yeah. I think statement analysis would come into play here with her. And I know that the Kissimmee Police Department and Orange County had to have utilized statement analysis with this.
I didn't see her walking. And it was about 4:30, 4:35. At this point, she should have. So I went back to the office. And then I was like, is she here yet? No, she hasn't gotten here. And I said, okay, hold on. Let me see. I called her best friend. And I was like, hey, are you... I don't know if I told her I was picking her up from school today or to walk to the office, but I don't see her anywhere. And she goes, no, she never came to school today. She didn't come to first or second period. And I said, what do you mean? We dropped her off close to school. She should have walked to school. She goes, no, she never made it to any of her periods. And I said, can you please check with your other friends in your other classes to see if she ever made it? She got back to me and said no. At this point, I started to panic because I realized something was wrong. I emailed one of her teachers, a few of her teachers actually, and one of them responded to me. He said she didn't make it to his period at all, and he checked all her other classes, and she didn't make it to school at all. That's when I knew something was truly wrong. And I'm before that email or after that email, but I started panicking and freaking out because she should have been to school. She should have made it.
And then I understand she forgot her phone, right?
Yeah.
Is it common for her to not have her phone?
Yes. She's got ADHD. She's super forgetful. She never realizes that she's in the shower for a whole hour. She loses track of time. She's very...
And then you guys went looking for her, right?
Yeah.
Where did that, she doesn't realize she's in the shower for an hour, come into play in this scenario here, in this questioning? Just so...
She says that other times too. She says that another time, same script.
So
Yes.
she wasn't supposedly Stefan dropped?
Yeah.
Story is Stefan dropped. So why did she say that we dropped her off?
Yeah, and those are more inconsistencies in the story. She says that we dropped her off together, and then she says my partner dropped her off. So there's so many things in these statements that conflict, and that's what's got everybody confused as to the statement that was put out by that news organization that the police are not going to be putting any charges on her as of now. Again, this is... you look at this and look at the totality of all these statements, and there's a whole plethora of these statements that she made and he made on different occasions, and it all doesn't jive. This goes on for another 15 minutes. I'm going to take it off the screen, but there is a lot of interesting stuff as it pertains to this. But I want to go to the audience because it's only fair. Jay, you got your audience. There's probably a bunch of people on your chat. There's a bunch on ours. Hashtag Tim. Hashtag Duty Ron, hashtag J. You could just put JAY if you want, or JAI, with your questions, and we will go into the chat and answer some of the questions. Jay, while we do that, do you have anything for me or Tim that your audience or some of your community wants answered?
No, I think I'm just following along with you guys, and really we want to hear what you have to say and your experience. So
I think we said a lot here tonight.
Yeah.
And as far as it goes pertaining to Jennifer Soto, I cannot see how they can come up with nothing and not charge her with anything, unless what Tim alluded to is there's some type of deal worked out with her for her cooperation, but they don't need her cooperation. Yeah. Everything that's charged against Stefan Stearns as it pertains to the murder and all the sexual charges, all the sexual battery charges and lewd and lascivious charges, they have concrete evidence. And even Ed Wallace said to me today from Africa, I talked to him about it during the day, and he's like, there's a mountain of evidence against Stefan Stearns. They don't need shaky, wishy-washy, lying bullshit Jennifer Soto. They need to, and Ed said it, they need to lock her up, hog tie her, and drag her in.
So I think they will lock her up. I don't know about the other part.
I just put that in there just to make it shocking. You know, but I definitely want to hear the take her in. Here's hashtag Tim. Hashtag Tim. Are you related to any detective on the case? There's a detective Acosta that questions a male detective that questions Jennifer and I believe Stefan. I don't believe so.
No relation.
No. So I'm looking. At Duty Ron, how the heck did Maddie get out of the house with so many people in that house and not noticing? Well, again, 11 o'clock to early in the morning, people could be sleeping. And he could have he could have did this while Maddie was sleeping and strangled her. We know that she died by strangulation. He could have strangled her in her sleep and took her out at 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning when everyone was sound asleep. So there is a definite way that this could have been done. And just we have no evidence of it. Nobody on the outside witnessed it. They questioned every apartment, every surrounding dwelling in that community was questioned. They went door to door. We saw that in the search warrant. And anything is possible. We know that he took her out at the Holiday Inn Vacation Club underneath a garage, and he unstrapped poor Madeline Soto and took her lifeless body on camera and slung her over his shoulder and put her in the trunk. So if he's able to get her from that car and take her out, put her over his shoulder and put her and dump her in the trunk, and then take her out of the trunk and dump her in a field, you don't think that he couldn't have got her out of that house? I say yes. He definitely got her out of the house.
Very easily.
And that's probably how he did it. I mean, look, we heard from Wade Wilson, and it has nothing to do with this, and he murdered Christine Melton inside her home because he was so high and fucked up. He was a 6'3" guy, big dude. He said that he couldn't take this grown woman and put her over his shoulder. He tried to wrap her up in a carpet or a blanket, and he wanted to dispose of her. But Maddie was 13 and much smaller than a grown woman. And if he killed her, which I believe he killed her inside that home, it was an easy thing for him to take her and carry her out in the middle of the night and put her in that car and strap her in and then drive her to that Holiday Inn Vacation Club and then transfer her out, because he was trying to do this for the cameras. He knew that there was a camera right there at the fucking gate. He knew it. And he said, I'm going to just make it like she's sleeping, and I'll just tell that story. Yeah, she was sleeping. She was tired. Oh, yeah, you could see it on the video. She was sleeping. But the police were ahead of him. And they went to his whole route that he went, and they discovered the cameras of him taking her lifeless body out of that car, putting it in the trunk. Let's look for the hashtags. I don't see many questions. I wish there was more questions. I want to answer. Here's infamous truth teller, Duty Ron, playing possum, mother pretending to be helpless or unaware and in denial 100%. I don't know, Timmy, what do you think?
She knew exactly what happened.
Yeah.
She knew exactly what happened. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, I don't buy it. I don't buy it either. Jay, what do you think?
No, I've never bought it for a second that she didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
Too many inconsistencies and consistencies at the same time with their story. So,
Nancy, I'm going by what's been reported. I didn't see, nobody has access to the official autopsy, but they said she died by strangulation. It's been reported by many, many outlets. I didn't see anything official on paper, but it's not out of the realm, We'll hear about it at trial. Definitely hear about it at trial. And this trial will be televised, and it will be on, we'll get to see it. It'll be on TV. Obviously, we won't see some of the gory stuff, but we'll hear about it. Stephen Stearns, 6'2". What was that question, comment? Who's in charge of that department to not vote ever for these people? I'm not sure what this is from your community. I'm not sure what they're alluding to there. Alera, who's in charge?
Who's in charge of that department to vote?
To not
ever
vote
for those people? To not vote ever for them? I'm
Yeah,
not
maybe
sure.
maybe it sounds like to me like maybe saying something like, if the sheriff is elected, don't vote for him again.
Yeah.
I don't think it was the sheriff, though. That I think that Ron, you're right. It's the news that's saying this for the effect of the likes and that. I don't think that the police have they haven't made a press conference, and they haven't stated this. So I think that's incorrect.
Until we hear an official, and Timmy and I can attest to this. If you don't hear it, and I say this all the time on this channel, if you don't hear it from the police, there's no official statement, that didn't happen. So when you hear it reported, you have to take that with a grain of salt. Sometimes they're right, and a lot of times they're wrong. So Minnesota Girl says, Duty Ron, do you think Jen will attend the trial? I don't know, but I highly doubt it. We haven't heard or seen a peep of her. Do you think she really cares about justice for her child? She doesn't. She doesn't. And it's clear and apparent by all of these interviews that we're seeing. And again, I'm linking Plunder and Grizzly True Crime. I'm linking Guilty of Crime channel. If you guys want to go and watch all this stuff, we don't just have time here because we're getting ready to wrap up. An hour and 30 is as far as I'll go with this. Vinny from Court TV, he's got his reporters / former prosecutors perspective. I don't agree that Jennifer Soto will be a good witness for the state because she's full of shit. She lies too much and her stories are inconsistent. And a defense attorney for Stephen Stearns will have a field day with her. And you know, Timmy, they do it anyways, no matter how squeaky clean your witness is.
Yep.
She's taking all kinds of psychotropic medication. She admits that she's fucked up and that she can't get herself right. She was jonesing to the detective. She didn't care. Hey, can I get some of my personal property? Can I get some of my clothing and some of my things, makeup or whatever? She's like, I need my medicine. Give me my medicine. Can you come in there with me so I can get my shit? That was what her concern was. Not find my daughter. Not, hey, work on this case. It's just bullshit. Hogwash. Carol W says, Duty Ron, do you think this new statement could be a way for police to make Jen feel safer? I said that in the beginning of the show, and to open her mouth up on a taped phone call. I mean, I don't know if exactly what you're saying here is what their idea is on this, but we use the media sometimes can be our best friend and our worst enemy. But we sometimes use the media to get a message out to maybe make somebody feel comfortable. So it's not out of the possibility that they're just letting her just get nice and comfy and say, "Oh, I'm clear. I'm off the grid."
Exactly.
So we've seen that before. Duty Ron. Wow, everyone's peppering me with all the questions. What about Tim and Jay? For fuck's sake. Florida Girl Talk says, Duty Ron, is it for sure that the court trial will be televised? Yes, they do it in Florida. I would have to tell you that, yes, it is for sure. State of Florida does almost 99.9% of the trials, and they televise them. So I'd say I bet my pension on that. And you heard it here from Duty Ron. And if I'm wrong, come at me. Come at me in the comments. Angela, who's a great friend, she lives on Long Island, #Ron, #Tim. I was going to ask something similar if they are just waiting to see if she's going to say any more in order to charge her because she knew that they were sleeping together. Well, she's already said that. She's already hands down said, I sanctioned my daughter to go sleep with Stephen Stearns on multiple occasions. She just started backing up a little bit in this, what we heard here in interview number 1. I didn't do it all the time, but I did do it. I did allow him to sleep with her and sleep with her in a private bedroom on the 4th floor, on the 2nd floor, bedroom number 4. And that was what she said. Jay, anything final before we wrap? I'm giving you full screen. You're in control right now.
Oh, thank you. Really, I just wanted to, it's been a long day of us going over this all day long. And people are very upset about the breaking news of Jennifer Soto and not being charged. But I think today, listening to Duty Ron and Tim, that we're hearing that there is some hope and that it's a possibility that she still will be charged. So let's be patient, folks. And someone says that, I'm looking at lots of questions specifically. And I mean, there's so many of them, but I think the important one is that Jen gets charged in this to have utter and complete justice for Maddie. So really, I think that's really, with all the questions, I think that's the most important thing, that we stay focused on that. Stephen Stearns will be charged, and hopefully we can watch the trial together.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, let's analyze Jen's statements and keep this out there so that it doesn't go away.
Absolutely. You said that well. Kim Watts wanted to get from you, and this is one of your channel members. She said, guilty of crime. Do you think one of the roommates knows something?
That's a good question. And they are on the witness list. And there's a possibility that they do. There's a possibility they heard things, they saw things, they knew that there was, a tripod, lube, a gun in that room. So they are potential witnesses, and they are on that list, everybody.
Yeah.
So
there you go. I want to just take a minute to show your channel real quick. Here's Guilty of Crime. She's live simulcasting with us right now, but go over there. I am subscribed. Oh shit, I've only got personalized. This is where it's important, and I want to tell everybody to do this. If you subscribe to somebody, I must have just hit subscribe and didn't go over and check all. So now I updated my notification. So I was getting personalized, and I don't really know what that does, but make sure you subscribe, but select all to get all the notifications. So now I'm going to get all the buzzes when Jay goes live, so I can, see everything, and maybe personalize this a little bit less. But look, she's got a ton of videos, Stephen Stearns, a ton of things, lives, shorts. Go over and check out her community. If you're not yet subscribed, subscribe and do it now. And I want to show also Grizzly True Crime, her channel as well. I am subscribed, as you can see. Oh, personalized. Oh, yes. Shit. All right. I just changed it. She's got 323,000 subscribers. And here's her videos from Jennifer Soto. Wait a minute. Live. I think they were live. Yes. So this is Police Interview Part 2. And then Police Interview Part 1. So she has everything nicely categorized in her playlist. This is Grizzly True Crime. And then last but not least, Plunder True Crime. This is what we were just watching. There she is. Paula Mooney, Plunder True Crime. She's got 184,000 subscribers. She's doing great. And here's all of her things, all of her playlists, and all of her stuff. It's important to categorize everything so it's easy for people to find. She does a great job, and she's a friend of the channel. Anytime I ask her for something, she doesn't even hesitate. She just sends it to me. And shout out to all these great channels. Timmy, I want to go to you for final thoughts on Jennifer Soto. For those that are out there that are worried, your thoughts on the possibility of her getting arrested and what possibly she could be looking at charges-wise.
Without a doubt, I see her being arrested. I don't know what the extent of the charges are going to be. At the very least, she will be charged with a felony, which is going to be an extensive jail term. There's no way that they're not going to charge her. I believe 100% that she will be arrested.
Amen, brother. I said the same thing. I want to take this time to thank all of the moderators and folks who left super chats and replay viewers. You guys are what makes this a great place. We do not take for granted any of the subscriptions or donations and support. We have the Buy Me a Cup of Coffee app. We have Patreon channel memberships. There's all different ways to support us. You could just watch the videos, let the ads play. Make sure you give us a thumbs up. Hour and 33 minutes here tonight as it pertains to Jennifer Soto and justice for Maddie Soto. That's what we're looking for here. We want justice, and we want it now. We want it swift, and we want the long arm of the law to come out there and swoop up whoever is responsible or has knowledge of what happened to Madeline Soto, because this young 13-year-old did not live a good life as we know it now. It was horrific and horrible. And Stephen Stearns, I can't wait for old Sparky to be fired up, because I know for a fact that this scumbag is going to be found guilty by a jury of his peers. He's innocent until proven guilty. But guess what? This scumbag, I hope he doesn't have one good day, because what he did to this poor little girl is just horrific and heinous. It's some of the most horrific cases that we have covered when it involves abuse of a child, abuse of an elderly person, or someone who's handicapped. Those are the worst. And Timmy, you can attest to this. It's what hits us in the heart, the hardest. And all these cases that we cover, we send prayers, strength, and positive vibes to, first and foremost, the victim, and then the families who care, because there are people within this family that did care dearly about Madeline Soto. It's just that, if you see something, say something. And it sounds so cliche and so corny, but it is so freaking true. I'm just going to give you an example. And this, you guys might, take this maybe the wrong way, but this is how simple you see something, say something can be, and how important it could be. I was taking my garbage out last night, and my neighbor, I'm not going to name names, but I heard an argument going on between husband and wife. And it was not something that sounded right to me. And I took my garbage out and I listened, and I went and knocked on their door. And I said, is everything okay here? And I went inside that house, and I kind of played cop last night, and everything was okay, but they were having an argument. And I just wanted to make sure that that woman was fine, because if I would have went inside and not said a thing or did anything, I wouldn't have been able to live with myself if something happened to her. And I saw them today, and they said hello to me and thanked me for caring. And that's what you're supposed to do. And I don't recommend everybody just to do that. I had my pistol with me. I was good, but if you see something or you hear something like that, call 911, call the police, and get them over there and just let them check it out. Because if you don't, and God forbid something happens, you got to live with that for the rest of your life. So I bring that up because Madeline Soto's family, those extended family members that we saw in the mom's shop, they got to be saying to themselves, why the F didn't I say something? Because you can't tell me that not one of those adults sensed that there was something wrong in 7 years. I just don't get it. So it is what it is. I want to say thank you to the replay viewers, the moderators, the channel members, and everybody who's positively engaging in this community. You're what makes it a great place. And I want to thank you for being here. Just want to get up a picture of Mary,
right? Yes.
so we can end this on a positive note. And I got to find it because I had it saved here. Jay, anything else before we go?
No, that's it. I just want to thank you all for being here. Subscribe to Duty Ron if you're coming from my channel. And thank you for supporting our channel and Duty Ron. Don't forget to subscribe to everybody.
Yeah, I tell you, Jay, you do a great job.
Justice for Maddie. Yeah, justice for Maddie. That's the ultimate goal here.
Justice for Madeline Soto. And you do a great job of covering this case with respect and dignity. So thank you for what you do. Timmy, I want to thank you, my brother from another mother. Will you come back and join us for maybe some polygraph or some body language stuff, Tim? I don't want this to be a one and done.
So I'm thinking maybe I need to do a polygraph on Duty Ron, and maybe get some questions from some of your followers that I can ask you.
I'm down for that. We'll do an episode. Maybe we'll do it for the members only, and then we'll publish it public. I would do that. Strap me up. I got nothing to hide. I'm ready to go. You get the questions ready. Send them over to dutyron.com. That's a great idea to me. I never even thought of it. And I'd like to hook Ed Wallace up to it too. And maybe we'll hook Jay up a little bit. We'll do a couple
Let's go for it. Yeah.
All right. On behalf of Crime Time with Duty Ron and Ed Wallace, I want to wish you guys a good evening and thank you for joining. Jay, thanks for hanging out for an hour and 38 minutes. Of course, the picture that I saved of Maddie, I can't find. And there's a picture of all three of them together, and I don't want to post that one. And then there's a picture of her with him. So, you guys know what I mean. We'll talk to you soon. Peace and love from Crime Time with Duty Ron. Thank you, guys. See you soon.